Right? We are still continuing. We have seen government intervenes in trade politically, and now we are looking at again another issue, and this is government is intervening in trade, not political as such, but now we are looking at it as economically. In other ways, we are looking at it as economical motives. So we are saying, although government is intervening in international trade, okay. Although government is intervening in trade politically, but still, economical again works. So the most common economical reasons for the nations to attempts to influence international trade are the protection of young industries from competition and the promotion of strategic trade policies. So I've already, if you look at what we have written so far, there is that protection of infancy industries. That's why government has to intervene in international trade, trade economically. Government has to say, no, I think it has to come in because of protection of these young children industries. We have what is called worldwide, there is an agreement. There is an agreement in terms of protection of children. Protection of children, which is known as the minors. Protecting young children from being given work. Countries have now developed that system, taking young ones, giving them very hard labor in fields like tobacco, like tea, whichever fields, of which these kids now they are being deprived of education. You find that instead of the kids going to school, they are failing to go to school. So government has to come in. Government has to come in. So we have got several reasons economically, especially talk about protection of infants industries, protecting them from international competition that can cause domestic companies to become complacent towards motivation. In other words, most of the companies do limit or can limit incentives to obtain the knowledge of the needs to become more competitive. So we are looking at now that economically government is coming in because government would like its young citizens that are found in the country not to be exploited. That's why we are looking at the protection of young industries. Within again economical motives, we are looking at that there is an issue of pursuing strategic trade policies. Issue of pursuing strategic trade policies. When we talk about pursuing trade policies, strategic trade policies, there are those policies that are being run by countries worldwide. It's just policies. So promoting the government is trying to intervene in order to promote those. There are policies that countries that would like to make trade international, they have to follow. If they cannot follow, then they are out of their system. So those policies are in two. We have got advantages of those policies, and we can have the disadvantages of that, and they are called strategic trade policies. Now let's look at what are the benefits of strategic trade policies. Trade policies, generally, in most cases, they have got several advantages. But one of the advantages of trade policy is that it helps other nations to come together, amalgamate as they are making trade. It helps to bring countries together so that when the countries are being brought together, they can at least they can do trade very, very well. An example of that is South Korea. South Korea itself amalgamated with other countries there within just because of strategic trade policy. There was a policy that sometimes when you know that your country is very small, but you can just join with other countries, you can do that, provided you are within the trade policy. You are within the trade areas. So that is the trade policy. Trade policies, again, the same strategic trade policies. They are there to strengthen or to cement a relationship that exists among nations. Apart from amalgamating, joining, but again, making nations to cement, strengthening their relationship with other nations. What are the drawbacks of, what are the problems of strategic trade policies? What are the problems of strategic trade policies? There are a lot of only importance with very few drawbacks. Of course, one of the drawbacks of this strategic trade policies, sometimes other countries would find it very difficult to follow the policies. Hence, easy for them to go away from the policies. So the people say, no, I think it's very difficult, we can't. That's the drawback. Because there are other policies that were formulated based on the strategic trade policies, of which other countries could see that they were unfit. In those areas, it's very difficult for the countries to take those policies. So we can see that economically, government is intervening by following policies. They have got policies that were set. But now if you're looking at this being international trade, then those policies are being made under international on international level. The third area of discussion that we have to look at is now on culture. It's now on culture. So we'll look at what are the implications of culture. What is this culture? Has culture is it having any impact as government intervention in trade in connection to culture? Check your time. What's the time? Yeah? 20 to 10. So we are looking at culture. Let's look at this culture. And then let's define what is culture. If you look at culture, cultural motive. Culture, it has to do with norms. Culture has to do with the values. And culture has to do with the beliefs. Government has to intervene culturally. Because you look at countries themselves, we have got several cultures. There are several cultures. Malawi we have several cultures. But we have got our national culture. So government has to intervene in international trade. Because those guys who bring commodities from outside, they have got their culture. Assuming, let's say, the Indians, they have come to Africa. They are here in Africa. Africans, they have their own culture. And these Indians, they are bringing another, they have got their own culture. But they are coming into the country. There must be that, there can be that conflict of culture. That's why government has to intervene. If you a very good example, the French law bans a lot of foreign areas. Law, it said languages to be in their country. What it wanted is just their own language. They are just trying to maintain their language. That's culture to them. They think if other countries will come to them with their own language, they can destroy their language. So they have got that mentality. Culturally, if you look at the same culture, the culture of countries are slowly altered by the exposure of the people and the production of other cultures. Unwanted cultures may influence a nation and have got an impact on that country. Therefore, there are a lot of countries worldwide that are trying to safeguard their culture. If someone would like to come to Malawi, but now we are looking at now by then, would like to come to Malawi to do trade, would first of all being asked, will you accept our culture? Will you take our culture as the normal culture? If the answer would be yes, we would be told to go ahead. But if the answer is no, I don't think that I will manage, then he was told to go back. Culture. So government had to intervene in trade culturally, because people have got different cultures. And the way people bring cultures into a country, if government would not intervene, that's why a lot of countries now, they have spoiled. A lot of countries now, they are spoiled because the government are just accepting several things coming in. But government has to scrutinize, has to save, has to sieve, select, choose the right trade that will not affect their culture. Culture is in form of like dressing. International trade. As even being dressing, you look at that as culture. You look at languages, look at religion. This is part of culture. You find someone, they are coming out there, they've got their own culture they are bringing here, then your culture is destroyed. So there must be that government intervention in international trade. For your own assignment, did I give you an assignment? I gave you an assignment, all right? So what you have to do is, for your own, just practice sake, can you go on the internet or check the library? But the library I don't think, but just go on the internet and find out why government intervene in international trade. You Google and find out, right? Why government intervene in international trade. You have a lot of areas that can add value to what we have discussed today. You discover some of the concepts that have allowed government to come in, that have allowed government intervene in trade. Generally, indeed, it's very, very true that government has to do that due to cultural influence of other areas. Government has to intervene in that. So international trade is now, it can be taken as a vehicle by which you can be able to. It's a vehicle of which there are several cultures. So it's very, very fortunate that sometimes we are learning culture just because of trade, international trade. Without international trade, we could not learn some of these cultures. The cultures are there. We have got several cultures. Even this culture of dressings, mode, whatsoever, it's just because of international trade. And you're able to at least learn a certain culture based on international trade. Based on international trade. I think today we are looking at government intervention in trade. And if the government is intervening in trade, either politically, where in political we are looking at job protection, preservation of national security, and then we have looked at economically, where we are looking at the protection of infancy, pursuing strategic trade policies, and again, culturally, in terms of cultural influence on trade, so culture and trade itself and its impact. I think by the end of now, you should be able to answer questions like, what are the political reasons why government should intervene in trade? What are the political reasons why government should intervene in trade? Explain the role of international security concern, or identify the main economic motives for government trade intervention, or you can, what cultural motives do nations have to intervene in free trade? So at least you should be able to know about that. Next week when we meet, we'll be looking at the methods of promoting trade. Can government promote trade? Can government promote trade? And how does government promote trade? And what is the promotion of trade? So we'll look at the government promotion of trade next week. So we're looking at the government promotion of trade next week. But for today, I think we can stop it there. Thank you.